This is the joint international and domestic committee for the Calexic Congress. I'm Robert Clark, and joined here with Jason Wright, the co-committee chair, and also Marcus Ruiz Evans. Last week, we were working on the resolution on Baja, and just to double check, Marcus, has that been finalized?
Yes, it has been finalized. And can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, well, I was trying to plug in my headset.
Perfectly fine.
Anyways, yes, that resolution was finalized. We got the idea from Cuauhtemoc Morgan. Jason workshopped it. I took that back to Cuauhtemoc. He made a few changes. There was a few wording requests. We made those two and packaged the whole thing. Robert, you were the final approval on that. Got the approval, and we shipped that over to Cuauhtemoc yesterday. I filmed the speech from multiple camera angles and sent him a couple different Google Drives of the raw video footage. He's going to take the video footage of the speech and combine it into a high production commercial like he did with the full Spanish introduction to why California could be independent.
And then we were also working on two different resolutions, one on tech censorship and another on civil liberty abuses under Biden. And I was busy, so I didn't get to finalize that. But I have most of it from last week, and then just I need to work on it with more specific examples.
Yeah, I think we were close. You just had to pop in a few examples, and yes, that was my understanding too. It was just roughly the idea was good. Roughly the way we phrased it was good. We just needed a few more concrete examples, so it really has a lot of power when it's released.
And so if I can backtrack just ever so slightly, so the speech, its wording and everything, all revisions were passed around, accepted. You filmed the video already?
Yes, but it's not the final product, so I never released the video. I filmed the speech from a couple angles and saved it to my computer, then saved it to Google Drive, and then gave a link to Cuauhtemoc. So he is the only person who's actually seen the videos. The reason that we're doing that is that the speech was by itself not the final product. The final product was going to be the speech with a bunch of other stuff he threw in there, like the original MIBC commercial about how California could be independent. There was a lot more words and title bars and music and stuff he was going to do. So yes, I did film the speech in RAW. It is not the final product. Cuauhtemoc is working on that now.
Okay, awesome. I'm just double checking for clarity and clarification. But that is an awesome progress report that was kind of glossed over a little bit, and I almost missed that. So
sorry. Yeah,
glad to hear the great news.
Yeah, I just jumped on it. I just jumped on it. As soon as I got Robert's approval, I went right to making a video like 10 minutes later. Sorry about that. I should have informed you guys. I apologize.
Oh, no. It's all good. You just informed us. So then the other resolution, so that one we can pretty much call final. We are waiting on Cuauhtemoc for the final product, but it's now out of our hands. So in my notes, I am going to say complete. I love writing that word when finishing up my notes on something and talking about like tasks and, goals and whatnot. Complete. So the next one is the censorship one, yeah? Or civil
I
rights.
think there were two, one on civil liberties and one on censorship. So I didn't get started. I started on the one on civil liberties. Let me see if civil rights resolution. I'll copy and paste what I have.
I believe it was the same with both, that the text was pretty good, but we needed to have more examples.
Yeah, and I've got that in my notes here from last week. Was the wording, we had made a couple of, at least to the civil liberty one, we had made a couple of small changes, and then we had asked for at least two specific examples of this case to be added in there. So I think that's really all we were waiting for.
Yeah, so we're close. A couple more examples, we're good to go.
So I have examples. Let's see. Well, I think we went over it last time. So like the one of DHS partner with private firm to surveil suspected domestic extremists. But I have some. I just need to I just need to put them together and finalize that.
Okay, I'd be all right with giving you another week if you need it.
Okay, I'll have it by the next meeting. Jason, do you have any resolutions you'd like to introduce?
I do not currently at this moment. We talked about a whole lot of stuff after you parted last week. And one of the things was about PorcFest and Yes California's invitation to PorcFest. I was planning on having a very clear picture by today's meeting of varying means of transportation and ways and how long and how much it might take for one or more people to get from here in California all the way over there to New Hampshire to attend PorcFest. Unfortunately, I was not actually able to track all of that down. It's in June, so it's next month.
Oh, just keep at it. Just keep at it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. As you know, I've been working on a couple of different research projects and also writing a few things here and there. So, my apologies for slacking.
No, it's not slacking. It's not slacking. Just keep working at it. We'll get it.
Well, if we don't have any further resolution to propose or anything, do we call that the meeting? And
I'm okay with that, just because Sunday was pretty productive, and as long as we're productive and we're moving stuff along, it doesn't always have to be a big meeting. Sometimes big meetings are cool because there's a lot going on, and we have a 3-hour meeting, but there's a lot there and people are involved. Okay, we don't have to. So I think the 3-hour meeting.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm not saying make it normal, but hey, it's okay to end short sometimes, right? We go long sometimes. It's okay to go short sometimes. We go as we need.
Just to the normal time to end at 7.
We start at 7.
Well,
I mean, to end at 8.
Yeah, I mean, we could hang around, troubleshoot, or talk about further ideas.
I'm not sure
things might be a little loud where I'm at, so I'm going to be staying muted for most of it.
Yeah, I hear some background noise, but it's not too bad. I can hear you pretty clearly. I'm not sure if this is related directly to the role of the committee, but I would like to kind of finalize the whole thing with the other independence movements and then have it archived or posted on some site.
What does that mean?
So do we want to do a Texas National Movement solidarity camaraderie ship type?
Yeah, like it could be a page on the main website for Colexit Congress or Yes California. It would just say Colexit Embassy page, and then just have like an official list of all of them that are finalized. Then the ones that are not finalized, maybe pursue that, or then post like a list of the official ones that already are.
You're saying, yes, California should have resolutions saying, hey, we want to be partners with a variety of different independence movements?
Could be a resolution, but I'm not sure if it would need to be, if it needs to be, because it's something. Think that it's something that already has been agreed upon, but just to kind of finalize it and have it organized on one official page.
Yeah, I'm thinking something along the lines of the Scotland speech that we just did, Marcus.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand the idea. So we're saying we'll have a web page, and on that web page is a bunch of statements from the Yes California Colexit Congress to other independence groups. Is that the final product?
Yeah, the ones with other independence groups that we finalized, and then the ones that we've discussed that are not that finalized, like to pursue finalizing those, and then posting it on some kind of a site or a page within the existing site. And then for each agreement would have to be, each one individually would have to be approved by the Congress.
Okay, well, to my knowledge, the only joint statement that we have approved with us and another independence movement is the Baja one. So Texas Nationalist Movement has agreed to hang out with us, but we have not been able to get their leadership to sit down and approve a joint statement. So with
the one now, so Baja, that's already approved. So then that could be posted on a page on the website. And then for the other ones that we've just discussed, we should work on finalizing that or talking to their leadership.
The big question there is going to be getting their leadership to approve. So if we can get their leadership to approve, easy. If it's make statements and we're going to try to get them to approve, that could take some time. However, if we make really awesome statements saying how we recognize these other independence movements, we could knock that out.
You know what? If we do it on our end, we could say the ones that we recognize, like the ones, even if they don't give us official approval, we could say we recognize them on our part, just going by all the ones that we've talked to already abroad and in the United States.
Yeah, it's really easy to do speeches. So Jason drafted up a great speech for the Scottish people. Long story short, if somebody writes a speech saying, hey, Catalonia, here's an awesome wording statement about how, yes, California recognizes you and thinks you're
I could write up some sample speeches for some of them if you send me Jason's as an example.
Well,
Jason?
So I'm not opposed to having others work on this, but it's an international thing. So not to sound like a power hungry control fiend or anything.
So
but
is
if
it
you
still,
wouldn't mind if I take lead on it.
yeah, that's fine, but so it's still separate, the domestic and international. Did we condense them, or they're still separate?
Well, it's a joint committee, but for like my thought was you being the chair of the domestic, me being the chair of the international. And that way, anytime anything domestic comes up to the group, it goes straight to you. You're the, the chair over the issue. And then with this international stuff, it would be like that, but with me. And so it's not to say no one else can, like, oh, this is a domestic issue, Robert has to do it, or oh, it's a international, so Jason has to do it. But for speeches, especially international outreach type speeches, I am a little bit of a stickler. Having this certain kind of a writing style that seems to have hit home fairly well over the last few years. I would totally love to have more involvement, and especially like having your input on it. I would very much value that. So I'm not saying no to it. I just want to,
So that's fine. So on your end, Jason, you're open to posting like short speeches for each of the individual independence movements, the ones that are finalized. But even if they're not, we can still do it on our end if the Congress approves.
Yeah. So like one example we can use is the speech of solidarity to Armenia and Artsakh. Artsakh being a nation that is seeking its self-determination.
Have you been in communication with anyone from that region?
Oh yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine is a frontline war reporter, and he's not part of mainstream media. He's an independent journalist and goes around and really just tries to make sure everyone actually gets to know really what goes on in places. And he was over there for most of the conflict, as well as almost all of the calls for Prime Minister Pashinyan to step down in Armenia. He was going back and forth from Armenia to Artsakh for a while, at least until the I guess the treaty was signed. I guess we can call it the the Armenian folks call it the capitulation of Pashinyan. So whichever way it's referred to since then, things have kind of quieted down, and he actually just recently made it back to Donetsk People's Republic, where they also are seeking independence. And they say, hey, we're not this nation, we're not that nation, we are our own nation. And Ukraine is using NATO armaments to shell a bunch of unarmed, mainly like farmers and, water treatment plant engineers, things like that. Like these are not, people who are working in, nuclear arms production or, making bombs and tanks and jet fighters, not even making guns and bullets. They're mostly kind of what appears to be rural folk. And so he's back over there. But through his being over in Armenia, I actually learned of several different people who could potentially be contacted by us should we need to reach out to Armenian parliamentarian folks. As far as like statements of, you know, who to speak on next, we just did a speech on Scotland pre-election, which was Thursday. Saturday, the results were finalized. SNP landslide. Historic number of women voted in as ministers' seats. All sorts of awesome news over there. And it kind of begs the question of, should we do a congratulatory, I mean, you know, even Vladimir Putin, as he's getting called a this and a that by Americans left and right, any time the United States has an election, he'll call up and say, hey, yes, this is Premier Putin of the Russian Federation. I would like to congratulate you on your victory, and I hope that we can work together for the prosperity of both of our peoples. You know, very diplomatic stuff, right?
So if I
I'm
may
wondering if maybe we should do something like that.
Again, if people write the speeches, I can do them. Maybe a compromise might be Jason would need to look at the speeches and finalize them or whatever. But Robert, if you want to draft a speech, it certainly takes a while to draft something up, especially if it's specific to that country and their struggle. And so perhaps you could draft something for the independence movement that we should recognize, get it over to Jason. Jason could workshop it, and then I'll film it. And then we got videos out of these speeches to various independence movements, and then we could take those and show it to them. And if we get any sort of traction, we go, hey, since you like that, we want to do a combined statement like this Baja one. That we were.
And then then that will open dialogue for it to finalize it on their end.
Yeah, we can go ahead and make a nice statement.
Exactly. So and Marcus, let me just say, I like what you said about that approach. Robert, you write something up, I'll give it the Mr. Wright touch. and then Marcus can put it to video once it's totally ready to rock and roll. I do believe that there are at least one or two speeches on Marcus's YouTube channel.
Someone give me the full list of all independence movements we've communicated with?
Yeah, it's not long. We've got Texas, we've got Baja, we've got Scotland, we've got Catalonia, we've got the Cape movement in South Africa, we've got Artsakh, got Hong Kong, Papua New Guinea, we've got New Caledonia, we've got Gardenia, the Alaskan movement, which I'm not entirely sure their proper official organization name. Marcus, do you know that one offhand?
Alaska Independence Party, but I'm not sure it's around. Robert, I would say Texas, Hawaii.
Yeah, I was going to say Hawaii. Puerto Rico.
Right, yeah.
And then, also if they could be put also see if there's a way if they could be promoted, like to get publicity too.
Yeah, well, and so here's the thing: is us just doing from our end hey, we see you over there, we value you, we want to work with you. Just that alone is helping their cause, helping bring their name to light. So if we actually could do one of these for every single one of these groups that we've been in contact with, that would be huge. And like you said, it kind of opens up a bit of room for a necessity of dialogue. Well, you've been talking about us a lot very publicly, so I guess we need to talk to you now, don't we?
I think it'll impress them if we make a really high quality video speech recognizing their movement, because they always like recognition. Most of these movements are not Scotland. They don't have the kind of respectability already. So if we start drafting speeches, get it over to Jason. Jason Shakespeare's it, and then I make the video and we post that, and then everybody shares that. I think it will increase the chance that we could have them return back to us and say, oh, since you did such a good job saluting us, and we know that obviously you like us, and obviously you'll stick your neck out, we would agree to a joint statement. Plus, we'd already have one with Baja as proof. I think this could get us a lot more contacts.
And now that we've covered that, let me say the two that are going to raise all sorts of stink in people's minds, most likely. Tigray, Afar in Ethiopia, where a very good friend of mine is currently. Also, Palestine.
Yeah.
I know Palestine is not an easy one to cover, because if you say anything pro-Palestine, it automatically sounds anti-Israel, unless you word it very diplomatically.
And that's obviously
I am not anti-Israel, but I am pro-Palestine, right?
Are you talking about a resolution about the conflict that's ongoing right now as we speak?
No,
not a resolution, a statement, a speech, a statement of like solidarity or goodwill, hope for the future, statement of compassion, right? And like, for these last two examples, there is current, war, death, destruction going on in these places, as well as many other places in the world, but these two very specifically. And so any statement from us, I'm pretty confident in saying any statement from us on these two could only and should, for propriety's sake, only go as far as encouragement towards peace and resolution, right? And encouragement to work out issues in a non-violent manner. I know it's hard. I know there are a lot of people on both sides who are, especially, Israel, Palestine right now currently is like, it's saddening. And again, both sides have people who want peace. Both sides have people who think that peace is impossible without violence. And so we could be a voice among the world of encouraging, and many other nations and nations representatives have come out, saying the same thing pretty much, of we encourage peaceful resolution. We encourage both sides, everyone involved, please ceasefire and start talking.
Yeah.
So as far as those two hot topic ones, right? Now, Israel and Palestine conflict being currently explosively hot, both literally and figuratively. We, depending on what you guys would agree on, right? I'm wondering if maybe we might not want to bust that one out first while it's still hot news.
Oh yeah, and it is. It's worth addressing, but it's important to keep into account. Like, there's obviously going to be people who feel strongly about it on both sides, and within supporters of Calexit too. But yeah, we should definitely work on something. But as you're saying, maybe wait like a week.
Why don't we get the rest of them done first? I mean, we don't have a Puerto Rico, Texas, Hawaii, New Caledonia, Catalonia, South Africa, Anglophone Cameroon, or Ethiopia thing. I mean, maybe we should knock those out before we go right after something that's controversial. Because then at least we'd have the page full of statements. I mean, at least we'd be seen as trying to reach out the other movements. So if we did move into a controversial one, it would be after our intentions are clearly known. So it'd be less easy to paint us with the brush of, you hate Israel or this or that. It's like, no, we're just trying to recognize different independence movements.
Okay. Well, I asked for your feedback, both of you, and I hear you loud and clear. We will tackle the hot topic ones after the ones that have already been on our table, so to speak, after those have been tackled. So then I would say, Robert, if you're going to take lead on drafting, no particular order in my mind. We want to get to them all. We want to get them all. Oh, yeah. So Marcus's YouTube channel, he's already done a couple of these, and there are videos of them, one or two that are Scotland, one that's ArtSoc. The speech to the people of Iran, I believe, was actually all Marcus, but it is also a really good one.
I'll send them to you, Robert.
Yeah, so you could use that one too, even though it's not my writing style and all that. You could use that as an example. It is a good example to use, and maybe blend it somewhere between the two. We'll have a whole new species of writing style.
Just put on top of this and come recycle it.
Okay, Robert, I'm posting it to private chat. Here's one of the videos right now. Let me find a couple more.
And I do believe the ArtSoc and one of the Scotland ones, if you look in the comment section, there should be a comment from me with the original text of the speech. And I had included that so that if anyone might be hearing impaired and closed captions are not working, that it still would be, the message could still be received. But it also means you can see all the fine points of like where I put commas in, and you can like read along with it as Marcus is doing the speech and see, oh, okay, this comma here, though it's not for grammatical propriety's sake, it is for flow, right? And that's the thing with these speeches. Like for a resolution, everything needs to be no spelling errors, commas where commas go. All punctuation must be 100% accurate. For the speeches, the punctuation is more of dictating the flow, so that when Marcus gets up there in front of the camera and delivers this gem that we've written for him, you know, this is a slight pause. This is a long, hard pause. This is a tone drop of, and given that case of yada yada that we mentioned before, this holds true to that as well, right? So definitely take a look. You know, our thing is with these is not so much of a stickler type thing on the writing and stuff. The only stickler type stuff is going to be the actual like language used, right? But everything else is pretty much just try to make it as easy and clear for Marcus so that he can give the best, most sparkling presentation possible.
So you have those links, Robert?
Yeah, I got the links.
In the private chat. I'll post them up for everybody to look at. And I just showed you all what they roughly look at. There's about 4 of them. And those were all not written by me, you know, other people did that and wrote the speech.
Did you
and we were
not?
really able to go real far.
I thought you had written the one to the people of Iran.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, well, okay. So this is kind of why I said maybe.
I mean,
Robert could.
I bring it up because I think it was really well worded. It was really well presented, and oh my God, was it well received? There was a video made in direct response to you, responding to you, and yes, California, right? Like, that's huge. No one else has done that. I mean, Baja has recently made videos talking about us, and this joint statement video will be, you know, the next big step. But you made a video speech to the people of Iran, letting them know that, hey, you know, Californians are different, and we do not hate Iran and the people of Iran. And, you know, no matter what you're hearing, just know we're reasonable over here. And there's a video of people basically saying the message has been heard loud and clear, and we are glad to know this. I'm just like, oh my God, this is huge. And of course, because it's Iran, no one wants to talk about it. And if they're going to talk about it, they only use it as a, you know, fear-mongering tactic. But for us, we could readily use it as another example of a great speech from our group, right?
True. Yeah. 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 So there's a lot there. So this is really good. I put up the titles for everybody. You've all seen the videos. Robert has the links. We have about 10 different, not super controversial independence movements that we could write these speeches for. And I didn't realize we'd already done a bunch of these. So this perfectly fits with who we are. And I will say that the speech to Iran, what I meant was that I didn't write it and that I didn't do the final drafting. Lewis did. What I should have said was that 90% of the content was created by me. So, Robert, when you're talking about drafting, the draft in some ways is super mega important because it frames what the point of the speech and the tone is. Obviously, polishing it and having it come out really great is super mega important, but the Iran speech was 90% of what I drafted. It was just very clumsily put together, but all the major points that we hit there, I invented all that. The flow and the phrasing was modified. And that's why I like working in teams, because an editor will be able to do things that a draft person didn't see, but a draft person has the passion for what the project should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Robert, I would say no particular order. Whichever one you feel inspired the most to tackle first, do it. The moment that you've got that draft, send it on over, and let's try and bust these out. Not with so much haste that we just kind of slap something together, right? But let's still do our usual awesome job, 5 gold stars out of 4, right? But also, let's try to get it done as quickly as possible and get these out like in real quick succession, back to back.
So all of them out at the same time?
We could, as far as like Marcus we could get them all to the point where Marcus has recorded each video and he's just sitting on it waiting for the last video to be done. And then now that all of the videos have been done and they're all ready, then post them all, not in one video, but post them all at the same time. That could work.
I think the easiest thing, Robert, is if you just start drafting some scripts. If you take a few independence movements that you're passionate about and you just start drafting, you'll begin to get an idea of how.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
Because some of them, the story may need to be longer. Like the one to Iran was based upon the fact that they're isolated. And so what that speech really did was not say, oh, you need to secede or everything you do is super fantastic. It was basically talking about how Californians historically are about building bridges. That's most of what it's about. It's not even specific to the Iranian people. It's about how we Californians are about intimidating people. That took a while to get those materials together and the historical facts. And then Lewis helped massage that into something beautiful. But it takes a while to get the material, and it's like you can't massage something that doesn't have a lot of good content. So if you draft a really powerful draft, it makes it so much easier for people like Lewis and Jason and others to modify it into something super mega strong.
Yeah, you get us to like 8 or 9, and we'll crank that sucker up to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put those out, send those over this week.
Awesome,
Okay.
Awesome, with some more awesome sauce on top of them.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Nice. Okay, I think we've worked out a couple different good issues. If we're good, let's just call it there. Because I know we're going to have long meetings in the future, and I'd like to be able to say, hey, we don't always go long. Sometimes it's short, in which case we end short. It gives us some credibility. We're not just interested in blah, 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 blah. So, is that workable with everyone? Is that okay? Unless there's some other
that sounds great. Yeah, I don't have anything else to bring up. I think we covered it all.
All right, guys. I really, really appreciate both of you. You have no idea.
Thanks.
How important this stuff is. This activism keeps me alive, literally. So thank you both for being on the journey with me. And okay, we'll call it there. Who wants to take us out? And right after you do, I'll hit the commercial.
I'll let Robert take us out because there's a lot of background noise, and I don't want us to get a copyright infringe.
Okay, I'll close it. This was the joint resolution committee with myself, Robert Stark, and Jason Wright. We discussed the finalization of the Baja Initiative. We touched upon briefly the civil liberties one, but we still have to finalize that for next week. And we talked about putting forth speeches to show support for other independence movements in other nations or regions. I, Robert Stark, am officially closing this meeting.